talking a lot today about paralysis analysis and why we get stuck in making decisions. And if you're here, you might have been thinking about making a decision for a long time. You have something you've been sitting on. Maybe you're thinking about making a change in some regard in your career or even otherwise, but you've been sitting on making a move for a time. And that could be months, that could be years. And if you are here and that is resonating with you, then let's talk about it. And I want to share that this is not a lack of capability, lack of anything. We're going to talk about overthinking and why that keeps us stuck right where we are. Because I work with so many brilliant people and so many gifted individuals that aren't unleashing their potential for different reasons and get stuck in this cycle of analyzing every little step of the way, even before taking any sort of action at all. And so what I see sometimes is we get stuck in this loop of, I want to do something different or make a change. I'm going to research everything I can. I'm going to ask as many people as I can for advice and input. And while I think there's some value to doing that, there's some value to gathering more input about a decision, at some point, some of that information becomes noise. Some of that information becomes distracting. Some of that information keeps you stuck. And when we're talking with other folks about what we really want, it can get things muddied for us. It can paralyze us right where we are. And actually, the more information we have, and maybe the more disparate it becomes overwhelming. And we keep it sometimes internally. Like we create this mental burden for ourselves. We create this overload of information that actually contributes to the feelings of staying stuck, of feeling overwhelmed, of not seeing clearly what is possible for us, not being able to move into a decision, a new path, whatever it is that we're thinking about making a change in our careers, our professional lives. Maybe it's launching a business. It could be starting something of your own. And when we get stuck in this process of, well, I just need a little bit more information. I want to think about one more angle on this decision, or let me just run this idea by a few more people. You're feeling very productive, right? Like you're doing a lot of things. You're doing a lot. And I don't want to minimize that at all. Like you're putting in a lot of effort, but you're not ultimately deciding for yourself. You're sitting on that decision that you really ultimately could decide to take action on. And so I'd love for you to share, if you're here live or you're watching this on the replay, what decision have you been thinking about that really you just need to make? And if it's uncomfortable to put it in the comments, no worries, send me a message. I would love to hear what you've been thinking about doing for a long time, weeks, months, maybe even years. What is whispering to you? Like, what is the thing that keeps coming up for you that you're like, oh, if I could only do this, or I want to explore this other area, or I want to channel my gifts into something new and different. But you've been working on and preparing for it for so long that you actually haven't even taken action to move forward on that idea. And I get it. You are someone who is very thoughtful, very thorough, very ambitious, very high achieving. It feels risky to do things in the face of uncertainty. It feels risky to do something different. It feels risky to follow what we want versus what society expects or what our profession expects. It feels risky to not have it all figured out. It feels risky to not do it right, whatever that means. And all of the strengths that we have, if we don't lean into them, if we don't take advantage of the inherent gifts that we are built with, we can slow ourselves down and decelerate the actual amount of progress and growth that we can actually have in our professional life, because we're stuck in our heads. Like, we're stuck thinking about all the things that can go wrong, all of the possibilities. Well, what if this one decision isn't right? What if I move into this path and it's not, the perfect one for me? What if I take this new opportunity and it's not as good as it sounds? Yet where you may be is you're feeling stuck. You're feeling potentially frustrated with what's going on. You're feeling like you want to make a move, but you haven't actually taken any steps to make that move. And I want to share with you that you don't need more clarity at this point. What we need is to turn inward and ask ourselves some challenging questions. And that is what coaching is all about. I do this every day with my clients, because once we can turn inward to ourselves, we can see a lot about what risk is actually real. We can discover what we haven't even considered yet that is a positive outcome to a given scenario. What about outcomes that are even better than what you can imagine? And what happens is that we end up wasting time when we're not making decisions, when we pass up opportunities, when we second guess ourselves. We don't have that self-trust. When we stay safe because it feels safer to not make a decision. All of this adds up over time. And so if we stay in this indecision loop for even the next month, what does that cost us? And what are we missing out on that really we could be making progress on if we just decided to take action, if we just decided to make that decision in our careers? And we've had a lot of discussions about this week. I posted a poll earlier this week that was really fascinating to see the results. So if you want to check that out, feel free to do so. I think the final results will come out next week. But I want to give you some ideas and tools of how do we break this pattern of analysis paralysis. We get into the cycle of do more research so that I can try to make a decision. But what if that's not the right amount of research? So I'm going to keep doing more research, and then I'm going to delay that decision even longer. And we get in this circle, right? How can we break this cycle? So first idea, give yourself a deadline. Hold yourself accountable. By the end of April, I want to make this decision. If we have no constraints at all, if we have no internal deadlines for ourselves, then certainly we can go circle for a long time. You can also decide what looks like good enough. Perfection is unattainable. So what is it that would be important and enough information to make a solid decision for yourself? Because I think, as high achieving individuals, we hold very high expectations in everything that we do, including when it comes to making important decisions for ourselves. But what is the amount of information and type of information that you would need to feel good about taking a first step? We can also decide what is the limit of individuals that I want to ask. You likely have a board of directors, a group of mentors that you want to reach out to, colleagues, friends, family. But is there a cutoff to that? Or are we just looking around for who has the magical answer that's going to tell me everything I need to know? And secretly, you already have all those answers inside of you. We just need to pull them out. The other idea is you just decide to do the thing, whatever that thing is. If it's applying to a new role, if it's taking on a new responsibility or opportunity, if it's committing to a stretch goal at your current position, if it's committing to yourself that you're going to secure a mentor or a sponsor or a coach, it is making that decision and knowing that you're going to build confidence and growth along the way. Think about anything you've ever learned in your life. I was talking with a client this week about she's moving into a new area. She's training right now, and a lot of impostery feelings are coming up for her in this process. Like, well, of course, it's new. It's new. You are learning. You are growing. 5, 6 months from now, 5 years from now, those feelings are going to be a lot different. But in the first 5 days, I would expect that we would feel uncomfortable. We would feel like, wow, this is all new information. Wow, I'm learning all the new processes and procedures. Wow, I'm learning how to operate in this new area. Wow, I'm training a lot and I'm growing and pushing myself. And I'm wondering, how am I going to learn all this information to be like the person who's been there for 5 years? Well, once that person who's there for 5 years was on their day 5 too. And so that's why it's so dangerous to get caught in that comparison trap. But when you start taking action, when you start building on the skills that you already have, when you trust yourself that you know how to learn and grow, all of that goes by the wayside. So when we talk about these things, I would love for you to share with me, what would you decide on today that you already know you could do? What feels easy enough? Oh, hey, Jesse. I know the myth. I'm going to put this on the screen here. I think we can create so many risks in our minds because that's how we're built, right? We have the fight or flight response for a reason, and it is very safe and comfortable and doesn't bring up those fight or flight responses when we don't think about doing something new, when we don't think about taking a small risk, when we don't realize what the risks actually are and what are the possibilities that are actually in the positive side as well. So thank you, Jess. That's so important for us to think about. What is the actual risk? So I want to share with you, you don't need to think about whatever it is for the next 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. You know enough to already make a move, and you will never be 100% certain on what's going to happen. We can't predict the future. You will never attain that. It's impossible. If we all could predict the future, our lives would be much different. But that's not how life is. That's not how our professional lives are. My challenge to you is to trust yourself enough to take that next step. And if you need any help with that, if you need to talk this out with someone, if you want to share what's going on for you, feel free to drop me a comment, send me a message. I would absolutely love to help support you in this endeavor. Because when you have someone in your corner who can see things you don't see, when you have someone who can reflect back to you some important questions to help yourself move forward, when you have a third party who's not biased in the situation or in your organization, that's where the game changes. And so if you want support with this, you do not have to think through these things alone. And I would absolutely love to talk with you. So thanks for joining in today. I hope you have an amazing weekend. I look forward to staying connected with you, and I'll talk to you soon.